Hey, I started working on this episode back in December along with the other episodes, but the GTA 6 trailer came out and completely destroyed my workflow and concentration. But hey, let's get around to finishing it now. The fourth game that I played for Wii-Cember is Rockstar Games Presents Table Tennis. This game is a weird anomaly when it comes to Rockstar games. Yes, the creators behind Grand Theft Auto, Bully, and Red Dead Redemption made a game about competitive ping pong. Not only is the idea a bit silly, but Rockstar Games Presents Table Tennis is actually the first game developed using Rockstar's Rage engine, which they still use for their games to this day. A few years back, I did play a bit of the Xbox 360 version of this game, so I was somewhat familiar with what I was getting into with this game. And it's exactly what you'd expect it to be, a fairly straightforward table tennis simulation game. The first place I naturally gravitated towards was the tutorial. As I remembered from playing the 360 version, Rockstar Games Presents Table Tennis has a bit more going on than something like Wii Sports Tennis. In Rockstar Games Presents Table Tennis, you control your character's movement using the analog stick on the nunchuck, while using the face buttons and the D-pad on the Wii remote to perform a number of different types of serves, along with adjusting the power with which you swing and the amount of spin you want to place on a ball. These different swing types are color-coded, and the idea is to try to mix up your swings to try to catch your opponent off guard and score points. First person to score the required amount of points wins the game. After spending a little bit of time in the tutorial familiarizing myself, I decided to hop into an exhibition match on normal difficulty to try a round of the real deal. I was swiftly destroyed by the AI, barely scoring a point the entire match. Well, let's try that again. This time Well, this is where I first started butting heads with Rockstar Games Presents Table Tennis. The challenge the AI puts up spikes quite dramatically between the different difficulty modes. After getting put in my place on normal, I bumped the difficulty down to easy, and while I did start to actually score some points against my opponents, it still wasn't exactly a cakewalk. While the gameplay isn't exactly hard to describe, there are a lot of elements you're trying to focus on at any given time, like which serves to use, reading which serve your opponent is using, your character's positioning, when to use your focus meter, etc. Is this the most complex game in the world? No. But I found it hard at times discerning what strategies I should be using to try to overcome different scenarios the game was throwing at me. You get to select a character from a short list of options before your match or tournament. Each of these characters have different stats that are supposed to affect their performance in-game. While that might be the case stat-wise, playing as the different characters felt mostly the same. As you win matches and tournaments, you unlock new characters and courts to play on, which serves as the main form of progression in the game. Perhaps some of the later characters play a bit differently to the ones unlocked at the start, but with the characters mostly feeling the same to play, and the new courts really only being color swaps without much actual change between them, I didn't feel particularly pushed to keep playing the game. Rockstar Games Presents Table Tennis doesn't have any sort of traditional story to speak of. Many traditional sports games of this type don't really feature an in-depth narrative either, but as this game is a bit out there in premise and coming from a studio that has arguably produced some of the greatest narratives in gaming, a story of some sort, even a goofy one, could have gone a long way. Some of the characters have unique personalities and voice lines, and I found myself imagining an intense rivalry sparking between my character and this other character with the yellow shirt every time he scored on me. While it was funny in my head and felt reminiscent of some emergent storytelling coming out of the gameplay, it doesn't really live up to the expectations one might have going into a traditional Rockstar game. At the end of the day, I left Rockstar Games Presents Table Tennis feeling unmoved. It's not a bad game by any means, but I didn't exactly have much fun playing it. The difficulty feels oddly balanced, it's not overly complex from a mechanical standpoint, but at the same time, you can't really turn your brain off and just swing a Wii remote around willy-nilly. This, paired with the lack of a narrative, made it pretty hard to stick with after a handful of hours. All that being said, it's still an interesting game that stands out in Rockstar Games' portfolio of blockbuster games. An interesting historical piece that gave a glimpse at the technical innovations that Rockstar would begin to apply to their biggest franchises for years to come. And if you are the type of player looking for a FIFA or Madden level game for the world of competitive table tennis, I don't think you have many other options. Thanks for watching Respawn Station Wii-Cember. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe. And while you're at it, check out RespawnStation.com for interviews, game reviews, guides, and more. And also, tune in to the Respawn Station podcast, our weekly gaming podcast where we discuss all sorts of news, what we're playing, and more.